in, it was no problem. My video, let's see, there should be a choice to change camera. Edit, no. Where's the choice to change camera? Because my video was on.
Your video is not on. Could you please turn on?
Let me turn up my sound because I can't hear you. Okay. Where is the... You still can't see me, is that right?
No, we cannot see you, but we can see your presentation.
You can see the presentation, but not me. Okay, I don't understand why because when I tested it, my camera was fine. It, for whatever reason, is not allowing me to turn my camera on. It's odd. I had no problem when I tested it. Should I leave and come back in?
Yeah, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but we cannot see the same.
When I joined, it showed my camera, it showed me, there was no problem. As soon as I came in, it turned off my camera.
Could you please turn off your audio or video settings which you have opened?
Excuse me?
Have you opened audio and video settings?
My video says it's on, and when I go hover over the video, it says turn off video.
Just close it.
I don't know what to do about this. Present to audience.
Can you close that?
I can share screen. That's all I can do.
Okay, I will guide you. Can you do it? I will guide you.
Can you see my screen?
No, it is very small. We cannot see the PPT presentation.
The presentation is small.
No, we cannot see the presentation. We can see the Global Virtual Summit 2025, not the presentation.
Ugh.
I think the presentation is back. Could you please close that window? Close it. Which is in blue, close it. Yeah, turn on your camera. Your camera is off. I saw your screen. Can you please share your screen once?
Now, can you see the presentation?
Hmm. Yes, I can see your presentation. Empowerment in action.
I do not understand why my video is off. I am sorry. No matter what I press, it will not allow me to turn my video back on. When I entered, my video was on.
Okay, can you please change your slides? We are only able to see the empowerment in action, women's rights for a brighter tomorrow.
The slide is small.
It's good. It's good. Can you change your slide? Yes. Okay. We can see your video, but we cannot see. I mean, we can see your presentation, but we cannot watch.
Me. You can't watch me.
No.
No matter what I press, my video of me will not turn on. When I entered, the video was on, no problem. All my tests showed my video on and I could see me and I could turn on my microphone, no problem. But as soon as I actually came on stage, it turned off. Isn't that weird? And when I turn my video on, there's this weird round circle. Turn my video off, I just see my picture.
Okay. Okay. Click on this audio or video settings. Can you see that beside mic?
Stop presenting, captions, audio, video.
Yes. Click on that. Click on that. Hello. Hello, Alison. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we cannot see you. Did you click on audio and video settings?
Yes, I went into the settings and it is fine. That's what's weird. When I go into the settings, I can see me talking. I can see my video. It's not a problem in the settings. But when I come back on stage, the video disappears.
I think you need to check from your desktop settings only. I don't know what issue is coming up with you from your side. Okay, go ahead with your presentation. People have already started joining into your session.
Okay, we'll just have to go with the presentation. I don't know what else to do. I don't know why it's turning off. So as long as you can hear me, that's what that's great.
Yes, we can hear you.
And I will apologize for the video mishap. Hi, I'm sorry. My video does not seem to be working. And so you can hear my voice and you can see my slides. I am Allison Godfrey, and I am talking about reclaiming your personal story, the power of owning your own truth. Well, my story begins with one day my phone rang, and on the other end of the phone was one of the four richest people on the planet. He had a proposition for me. He wanted me to build a startup in the field that I happen to know best, condensed matter nuclear physics. I had just sold my laboratory in that field. Well, he gave me an amazing budget. He told me that he wanted me to work in stealth mode. It was so exciting and such an amazing offer. I could not believe this was happening in my life. I began traveling the world to attract the best physicists from across the globe. Well, we were to unite by a singular, audacious goal to transform the very fabric of our energy future. We were pursuing what some deemed to be a scientific myth: sustainable green energy with the power to reshape our planet. I could not believe I was in the middle of this dream. Well, that was quite a moment. The joy, the pride, the accomplishments, 5 glorious years. And in one split second, it ended. It was over, in the past. The pandemic hit. The laboratory was shuttered, the team scattered, and that was it. The dream came to an end. Many of our lives did change in that singular moment. I quite willingly signed the NDA. The NDA stated that I would remain completely silent about the work for 5 more years. I wouldn't talk about it, wouldn't talk about who invested, would not talk about what we did, who was involved. Not about the research, not a word. At the time, it really didn't seem like any big deal. There was nothing that I was certainly not going to badmouth the individual that had invested. It didn't seem like any problem to me that I would remain silent. And reinventing myself, fortunately, I was very lucky, was not going to be such a problem. I had, during the time that I was CEO and running the laboratory, gone back to school at Haas, University of California, Berkeley, Business School, to get a certificate of business excellence. And as part of that, it involved becoming a better leader. I took high impact leadership as one of my courses and had so much fun. I got to reinvent myself as a leader. I learned all new ways of leading teams and what that meant, and how to reinvent for myself what leadership meant, having different conversations. I was lucky enough to begin teaching executive MBA students what leadership and communication meant. I was also teaching for the Berkeley Executive Coaching Institute other individuals to become coaches. So that was also very, very fun for me. Well, becoming an executive coach turned into my new career. Nothing planned. I was falling into a whole new phase of life. Very, very fun. Until those 5 years passed. And all of a sudden, my NDA was over. And those 5 long years of silence didn't have to be any longer. And I realized that I could speak, but the story of silence became my story. And all of a sudden, I didn't have anything to say. And I lost a huge part of myself, and I did not even realize that it had happened. Unknowingly, a huge part of me was gone. This individual did not want his story told, but not telling his story became not telling my story. How many of us have unknowingly accepted somebody else's story as our own, and we have not even realized it? Yep, a lot of you. Oh, there are all those hands. So many of us. And we go into silence because somebody else doesn't want us to speak. And I have to say, with this, when I created this, thank you, AI, this picture of silence, I was so terrified because that's what it felt like when I realized I was in silence. So now we're going to talk about what those stories are that we might have accepted from other people, maybe an employer, a partner, a parent, and our culture. We're going to talk about reclaiming some of our stories as an act of self-liberation. Well, what are those stories? And they become unconscious agreements at work, in relationships, and in society. And we agree to remain silent and conform. And believe me, I am not passing judgment on any of you or myself, because sometimes it is actually an act of survival. These invisible contracts become quite costly. And the cost is that we lose pieces of ourselves. And this has forced me to look at what are some of these invisible contracts. Well, here are some of them that I could think of, and I'm sure you can think of many more. How about this one? Everyone at work is replaceable. I have to say, that is a phrase, I'm embarrassed, but I have used it. Everyone is replaceable. But when you actually look at the heart of the phrase and the meaning of that, it is terrifying. I'm sorry, but I am not replaceable. You might be able to find someone to do the job I'm doing, yes, but they are not me. I, as a human being, am not replaceable. I'm sorry, that is not a true story. We have to look at what we're really buying into. How about this one? You are lucky to have this job. Oh my, I am lucky to have the job. What does that mean? That actually means that you're not good enough to have the job, that I'm giving it to you as a gift. Oh, wait, maybe I am good enough to have this job. I'm not lucky to have it. I'm here because I'm doing a good job. What am I agreeing to in saying that and believing it? How about this one? We are all family here in this organization. Wow, how are we defining family? Can family be fired? Well, if family can be fired, what are we really talking about? Because as we all know, and what we have lived through over the past year or more, is that there are major rifts in organizations. Is that family? Is that true? How do we treat family? I think that that is not true, and we need to stop saying that. How about you should be grateful for the opportunities we give you? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Perhaps I've earned the opportunities that I have been given. You're giving me something I haven't earned? These are very difficult things that I believe that we have taken on in silence. It's very painful. We have to look at those stories that we have actually accepted. Let's look at some partner stories. These are also quite difficult. And I have to say, I have a few of these that I have also taken on. How about some of these stories? You are too dependent, or you are too independent. How about this one? You are imagining things. And 6 months later, you might realize, that's exactly what you were doing. I wasn't imagining anything. You will never find anyone else like me. And inside you're saying to yourself, wow, I hope not. How about going out on to maybe a social gathering and you're told, please don't embarrass me. Wow. What does that say about you? How about this one? And this one I have very much lived through. When you become emotional about something and you are told you are overreacting, what does that actually say about you as a human being? You're overreacting. What is that story about your emotions? You're too much? You're not allowed to have the emotions you have? What if we buy into that? I will move on to other relationships. How about parents? Not just your parents, but perhaps you as a parent. Here's some cliches. Why can't you be more like, and you can fill in the blank, a sibling, a friend, whatever. How about don't talk back to me? You're not allowed to respond when an adult says something to you. Or you are not capable of making your own decisions. Wow. Don't think for yourself is really what you're being told. How about this one? Because I said so. Oh, the adult needs absolutely no explanation for why they're telling you to do something. That doesn't make much sense, does it? And when you decide you're not going to do something and you're told you're not doing it because you're lazy, you take that one on, that really does become a self-identity. Well, some of those phrases, some of you might even laugh at because you're saying, oh, yeah, been there, done that. And it may also be that some part of us has to agree at some point in our life in order to survive the situation that you're in. For instance, that good old NDA, some part of me had to sign it to survive. For instance, another part of us may have had to stay in a relationship when we were being emotionally abused because we had children and we couldn't financially get out of that relationship because we had the children and we had to stay. And we took on the emotional abuse and we didn't speak up, perhaps not even to friends or family. Unfortunately, we may have taken on those stories ourselves and not even have told ourselves that that's not who we are. Well, we remained in silence to ourselves. And part of us die inside when we take on those stories. That's the danger of living in someone else's narrative. That's what happens when we don't tell ourselves our own truth. We become disconnected from ourselves. We are living in the wilderness. We don't know which way to turn. We lose our confidence, our direction, and our inner peace. It's quite a price to pay. Others begin dictating our value and our sense of self-worth. Oof, it's a lot. In that moment of honesty, we need to share how it feels to live under someone else's imposed silence. And it would be wonderful if we could share that with someone else. But it's okay if we can even share it with ourselves. And I know for me, that silence and actually admitting to myself was the hardest part. I could not believe the silence I was living in and that it had become so deep that I believed I had nothing to say. Being lost in the woods is difficult. Well, I actually came up, it doesn't mean these are the only ways out, but for me, I came up with 3 ways of reclaiming my own voice. And I needed to actually write down and have steps forward to come out of where I was. I'm sharing it with you so that maybe you've got a way to come forward and out of the lost woods and choose a way to start looking at reclaiming your voice. Step 1, recognizing your false stories. It is identifying what narratives were given to you versus what is authentically your own. What value do you actually have? Who are you versus what has someone else told you who you are? You don't need to take all the stories on at once. Try to identify just one. one story about you. The next step, once you've identified just one, is rewriting that narrative. What do you want to say about yourself moving forward? How do you want to rewrite that narrative? And the third step is speaking the truth to you, finding ways to express that truth, say the words, and living in alignment with that truth in your real story. My example for you about me is that in a coaching moment, when I was working with a friend that's a coach, and I was saying that I have been living in this silence, and my biggest breakout would be to share that story in public. And that what I would really like to do to break my silence in the NDA is to share that story at a conference. It was the most terrifying thing I could say out loud. And here I am today sharing that story out loud with you at a conference to say, we can all do this. And there are so many other stories in my life that I look back on and say, oh my gosh, this is a pattern. This is not the first time in my life that I have taken on silence from somebody else's story. So now I have a challenge. What would it mean for you to reclaim a story of your own? What is maybe one false narrative that you are ready to look at? What can you hear inside of you that would change that story? What is one truth that you are ready to embrace for you? You are not just the sum of what has happened to you. Your story is your own to rewrite and reclaim, one step at a time. And before anyone else hears your story, you need to hear it first because it is yours. The moment that I started talking about what happened, about the memories and bits of me that I lost, it was like beginning to breathe again. I was no longer living in someone else's silence. And that is my hope for you. Thank you so very, very much for joining me today. And I would love to know if anyone has any questions for me. Please feel free to put them in the chat or anything you would like to share. Well, I thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Alice, for the great presentation. So we do have a question from our audience. How can entrepreneurs effectively scale their businesses while maintaining strong leadership and company culture?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question? I didn't quite catch it.
Okay. Having worked with Bill Gates, what leadership insights have shaped your executive coaching approach?
What leadership insights have shaped my
Executive coaching approach.
my coaching approach? Oh, thank you. The leadership insights for me that shaped my coaching were very much surrounding my listening style and how I wanted to show up in relationship to the people that I was working with, that it was about them and not in any way about where I wanted to be as a leader, but about where they wanted to be. And so the reflection that I could give other people about them in listening and where they were is completely how it changed my leadership style. That I became a mirror for them and helping them see where they were in their growth.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for explaining in a detailed way for the question. Hope whoever asked this question got the answer. I know there is a technical glitch from your side. We cannot see your pretty face today. Um, yes, please do join other speaker sessions and encourage them by posting your questions. Thank you, and please do join our next speaker, Dr. Girish Pai, who's waiting in the back. Thank you, guys. Have a nice day. Bye now.
Thank you.
We'll be happy.